All right, you guys. Sorry about any delay here today. We're having a little bit of technical issues, but I think we are up and running here. Hopefully everything is going to go smooth now. But give me just a second. I'll pull my chat up here and we should be good to go. All right. And welcome everyone. Hopefully you are having a wonderful, let's see, today's Wednesday, I think. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Wednesday today. Enjoying hopefully some beautiful weather out there, wherever you may be. And let's see, I'm still not finding my chat here. I'm going to give it just another minute or so. Get all of the technologies connected here. And then hopefully we'll be able to get started in just a second. Oh, there we go. All right. Looks like we are up and running. Again, you guys, sorry for a little bit of delay here, little technical difficulties, but what I've got going on is some beautiful nails that I'm actually going to complete the set today. So I've got 3 nails that I've already done. We're going to complete the last nail of our set here today. I'm going to be working with our acrylic system, and we're going to be using our traditional acrylic. That is the acrylic in the white bottles with the pink labels. You could still use the extreme low odor liquid and powders if you want to. Today I'm going to be working with the traditional liquid and powders. Make sure that when you're working with your acrylic that you're not mixing and matching. You want to make sure that the pink liquid or the pink label of the liquid goes with the pink label of powder. You do not want to mix and match the extreme low odor with the traditional. They're not going to work very well together. So make sure that you've got your liquid and powders ready to go. I'm going to be using our Cover Pink acrylic today. And then we're going to be adding in some fun designs, like I said, to finish up the set that we've got on here today. So let's go ahead and get started. I am just going to start by finding my toenail clipper here, and we're going to shorten up the nail here, clip that down a little bit. Whenever I do my enhancements, whether it's acrylic, hard gel, even if I'm putting on a tip, whether it's a full cover tip or a quarter well, partial well tip, I always like to shorten up that natural nail. So this way that natural nail isn't going to interfere with my tip or my form and things like that. So shorten that up a little bit, get rid of that extra free edge. You don't need that. It's not going to help you. It's probably just going to get in your way. So shorten up that natural nail a little bit. And somebody's asking, what are we doing today? We're going to be completing this set, or part of a set. So we've got some beautiful designs on here. So I'm going to be finishing up the last nail of our designs here. And I'm going to start by pushing back the cuticles. So we're going to just prep this whole nail, and I am going to grab my glass cuticle pusher. And you guys, you could use either the glass cuticle pusher. I am absolutely loving this one these days. This is kind of my new favorite thing. We just launched a new line of products, and so this is one of those new products. Otherwise, you can use the magic wand to push back cuticles, but you guys, I am absolutely loving the glass cuticle pusher. So make sure to push back those cuticles. Somebody's asking, how do I get rid of the cuticle ridge on the fake hand? You guys, let me show you that really quick, because that's something that I usually do, and I don't really show you a whole lot. But when you take the tips for your trainer hand, they do have that kind of big bulky cuticle area up there. All I do to clean that up is I'll take my toenail clippers, I will clip off that back edge, just really quick and easy, kind of round it out a little bit, and then I'll take my file and just go through and round that out a little bit more. So those of you that are working with our trainer hand, you can definitely clean up that cuticle area. I feel like it makes a whole difference in how you're using the practice hand and how you're applying your product. For me, it's a lot easier than working around that bulky cuticle area. But if you like to use that, use that cuticle area in there, you can do that. Otherwise, just pop that tip in there and you are ready to go. So again, we've got our cuticle in there, we've shortened it, we've shaped it up, we're pushing back those cuticles, get all of that dead cuticle growth cleaned up out of there. And you guys, I just put cuticle oil on my nails here, but I'm just gonna show you really quick how nice and easy this tool works on an actual cuticle. So really nice and easy up in there. It's gonna lift up that cuticle and it's gonna clean off. And like I said, you guys, I just put cuticle oil on here, but it is going to clean up any of that dead protein growth, any of that dead cuticle that is stuck on the nail really, really easily. You can even see all of that dead cuticle that's coming off of my nail right there. I know it's kind of gross, but that's what we need to do. We need to get that cuticle area cleaned up and pushed back so that when we do apply our product, whether it's acrylic like we're going to be doing today, or whether it's gel polish, anything like that, any of that protein growth, any of that dead cuticle that's still stuck on the nail is not going to adhere to our product. So that's why we always need to make sure to go through, push back that cuticle really well, and then we're going to go through and prep the surface of the nail. So I'm going to put in, I've got my mandrel and sanding band here. Now I am going to change out my sanding band so that I have a brand new one. And let me find that. Somebody's asking in the chat, how do you clean the glass cuticle pusher? You guys, all you would need to do is just take your manicure brush, a little bit of soap and water. You can scrub that. All of that debris, all of that cuticle will clean out of there. So soap and water, cleanse that, and then soak in your disinfectant according to your local state board requirements if you're going to be doing that disinfectant. So whatever your local state board requires for disinfection, that's what you would want to do. But you can definitely sanitize and disinfect them. Yes, absolutely. So those of you that are nail techs out there in the salon, this is really a great tool for you because you can reuse it, you can sanitize and disinfect it, and it works amazing. So you're going to love it. All right, let's get back to our prepping. And I've got my medium sanding band on here. I'm going to turn my electric file to about 5,000 RPMs. Let me readjust my camera quick, get a little bit better view. There we go. And I'm going to work right up around my cuticle area, just gently, basically making contact with my bit around that cuticle. And then I'm going to feather my bit all the way through the surface of this nail. What this is going to do is it's just going to gently break up the surface oils that are on the nail, and it's going to create just a little bit of texture to that nail. So this way, when we do apply our product, it's going to adhere really, really well. And we want to make sure that we are cleansing that nail, getting all of the dust off of the nail, getting any germs, any bacteria off the nail. So what I'm doing is just using my manicure brush, dusting off that dust. And then we're going to get our swipe. So swipe is our cleanser. I'm going to pump a little bit of that, oops, open that bottle up. I'm going to pump a little bit of that onto my manicure brush. And then I can use this to really get in there and cleanse that surface of the nail. And again, this is going to remove any of those extra oils that are maybe left on that nail. And it's going to help to kill off any germs or bacteria or any contaminants that may be on that nail. And as that nail is drying, as that swipe is drying from the nail, you're going to start to see that nail go back to almost that chalky look. So that nice dry textured surface. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply our protein bond. Protein bond is our bonder. It's not a primer, but it is a bonder. So it does have an acid-free adhesion. And it really just works like a double-sided tape. So you're going to see wherever I put that protein bond, that nail is going to stay sticky, and that's what's going to really adhere to our acrylic when we put that onto the nail. So like I said, it acts like a double-sided tape or like an anchor, however you want to think about it. It's going to hang on to, it's actually going to hang on to that natural nail, but then it's going to hang on to whatever else we put on top of it. Now, as I'm putting my protein bond on, notice that I start in the center of the nail, I work out to the sides, and then I work back towards that cuticle area. That way, I'm not going to be flooding my cuticle area. I'm not going to be flooding those sidewalls. I'm not going to be getting that product onto the skin. So that way, we're keeping our skin nice and safe and nice and healthy. Now, today we are doing an acrylic enhancement. So I applied 2 coats of my protein bond. If you're doing just a regular gel manicure, 1 coat is probably enough, but for my enhancement, I always like to use 2 coats. All right, you guys, who's ready to sculpt a nail today? Let me know in the chat. Give me a little thumbs up or something in the chat if you are ready to see some sculpting. I want to know. Want to see what you guys are thinking here. Let's see. Shells Nails is asking, what did you use for the pinky to get those colors? You did not miss it. I didn't tell you yet. I'm keeping it a secret for a little bit later. So you got to stick with me until the end here so that you can see how I did some of these other designs here. So stick with me. All right, looks like you guys are ready to sculpt here today. So we're going to start with our form. And the form is what we're going to build our product out onto. And I'm going to peel that form away from the backing. I'm going to take that little tab out of the center. Don't throw that tab away. Okay, that you need. You actually, it is part of the system here. So we're going to put that right on the back of our form. Kind of just set that down on there. That's going to give our form a little bit more of a firm feel. It's not going to feel so flimsy. So stick that little tab on the back for just a little bit more durability. Then we're going to take these 2 little silver tabs on the edges and we're going to just roll those together and pinch those 2 little tabs together as evenly and close together as you can get them. This way, by pinching those tabs, and actually you guys, my form is a little bit crooked here. You can kind of see I was a little bit offset. Now something that minor is probably not going to make a huge difference, but if you do, let me grab a couple more forms here. I want to show you guys some things. If you do pinch your form together and it's really lopsided, if I go like this, still take that little tab off. If I were to pinch my tabs together and they are really lopsided, they're really crooked like that, that's going to give you a crooked nail. So that form is actually not going to go on the nail very straight. You can even see there's a bold line that's right down the center of the form. That bold line is now off to the side. And when you pinch those tabs together like that and try to put your form on like that, your actual nail that you're sculpting is going to end up lopsided. So you want to make sure that you're getting those tabs together as close together and as even as you can. So that way your nail is going to end up nice and straight. So let's do that one more time. Little tab on the back. Pinch those 2 little silver tabs together. And you guys, you can see that I actually look from the side when I'm pinching my form together. I don't pinch from here or here because I don't really see exactly where those 2 little tabs are coming together, where they're coming together. So I look at them from the side. I look at that form from the side so I can see that back edge of the form and then the front edge of the form. So then I can make sure that those 2 little tabs are even together, and I'll pinch those shut. Now at this point, I'm going to press that open just a little bit. We're going to be doing a little bit more of a tapered square, not quite a coffin shape, but a little bit more of a tapered square. So I do want to pinch my form together at the end. Now, if I were doing a complete straight square, I would leave that end open. So you can see I would leave that end open. So this way it's forming more of a square shape and I'm going to create more of a tube. But because we're going to taper this in a little bit, I'm going to pinch that end. So now when I sculpt on my form, I'm going to be able to bring those sides in a little bit more tapered. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that top part of the form, open up that little perforation, give that just a little bit of a pinch. I'm going to bring my form right up underneath the nail, and I start at just a slight downward angle, bring that up underneath the nail, catch that free edge, and then I'm going to lift up until that form just starts to meet up with that free edge, and then it's going to be coming nice and straight out from that nail. Once it's nice and straight out, I'm going to secure it on the sides, and I'm going to look at this nice and straight on, make sure that everything is straight, and I think we are looking good. Actually, I'm going to adjust this just a little bit. Now, if you want to make a little bit of a shorter nail, you can pinch that form just a little bit more at the end. However long you want to make that, you can keep pinching. But because we're going to be creating a little bit of a longer nail today, I'm going to just pinch just a little bit at the end. We're not going to bring our product all the way to the point here, but we're going to bring it to about here. So that's where I'm pinching my form to. Okay. All right, you guys, as I'm working here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, join our community, give us all the love if you would. We appreciate it so much. So those of you that have subscribed, I do see you. I see you out there, so I thank you very much for that. All right, we are going to grab a couple of our table towels. So these are the table towels, same table towels I've got here on my table, but I just cut these up into smaller pieces because I like to use those when I'm wiping my brush. So for me, it's easier to use those smaller little pieces. Today we're going to be using Greg's Signature Series brush. This is a size 12. Now, if you're a beginner, I know a lot of times beginners ask, what is the best brush to use for a beginner? And I will always tell you the best brush to use is what you're going to be using. So don't start out with a cheap brush. I always feel like if you start out with a cheap brush, you're not going to do very well because it's not going to be, the bristles aren't going to be high quality. It's going to get kind of frayed and things like that. So start with a good brush and I guarantee you, you're going to have better success with good quality products even if you're starting. So make sure, grab your brushes. I'm going to take my Dappen dish here. I've got a little bit of monomer in there from last time. I'm going to clean that out. I always want to make sure that I'm using clean, fresh monomer every time. I don't want to try to reuse monomer because sometimes as your monomer gets used and as you're dipping your brush in there with powder, that liquid can start to get a little thicker and it can accumulate glitter or color from your powder. So always start with clean, fresh monomer. Somebody's asking, what is the liquid used to sculpt the nail? What we're using here today is acrylic monomer. And again, this is our traditional monomer. We do have an extreme low odor system, but I am using just our traditional system for today. It is a personal preference. If you need to use an extreme low odor, we do have that, but just make sure that if you're using the extreme low odor liquid with the teal kind of a label, that you're using the powders that go with it. If you're using the traditional liquid with the pink label, you want to make sure that you're using the powders with the pink label. Okay, these are not to be mixed and matched, so I don't want to be using the pink label powder with the teal label liquid. They're not going to set up properly. Okay, so make sure that whatever product you're using, that you are using the correct system of it. And again, we're going to be using our Cover Pink today. So I've got my brush in there, my nice clean brand new monomer. We've got our Cover Pink powder. So I'm just going to show you guys just a couple of quick, easy techniques that are going to help you when you're picking up your product. And we're not going to spend too much time on picking up today, but you guys, if you need more education on how to pick up your pearls or how to place the pearls, check out the rest of our YouTube channel here. We have got a ton of videos for you. Make sure to subscribe so that you can see all of those videos, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm just tapping my brush into my Dappen dish. I'm going to tap the back side of my brush out to release a little bit of that liquid. Now, the more liquid you release, the more times you tap that brush, the less liquid's going to be in your brush, so the smaller you're going to be able to pick up with your brush. So you're going to pick up a smaller pearl. If you need a larger pearl, just maybe tap one time. If you need a medium pearl, give it a second tap. If you need a smaller pearl, give it a third tap or a fourth tap. So however many times you need to tap that to get a smaller pearl, go ahead and do that. So today we're going to start by sculpting out our free edge. And when we're working on the free edge, we want to make sure, let me grab one more form here, I'll show you something else. We want to make sure that our product is going to be running and moving how we can control it, okay? So if I were to take my brush, tap the back side, press, bounce, 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 and if I were to take that pearl and I just set that right onto my form, do you see how fast that product starts moving? You see how kind of almost out of control it is? I would have to get in there really quick and control that. And actually, do you see how it's starting to stick to my brush? I got to clean that out of my brush here. When I'm working on that form, I don't want my product to run like this because I want to be able to control it. Okay, so what we're going to do, instead of just picking up that pearl, press, bounce, 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 and instead of just setting that right onto the form, I'm going to take my brush, let me readjust here quick. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to set that onto our table towel. Now what that's going to do is that's going to drain out, and you can kind of see it's going to drain out some of that extra liquid from my brush onto the towel. So now what's going to happen, I'm going to pick up another pearl and I'm going to show you guys what's going to happen. By draining out that extra liquid, it's going to bring our product a little bit more to a clay-like form. So I can still mold and move the product, but it's not going to run all over the place. So I'm going to, again, pick that up, press out that liquid, set that onto the form. Now you're going to see that the pearl will start to soften, but it's not going to run and flow out of control. Now at this point, I have way more control of that product. I can move it, I can mold it, and I can put that product exactly where I want it without it running or flowing out of control. Okay, now I'm going to show you another quick little thing here. When you are picking up that pearl, again, I'm going to tap off. Catch up here. There we go. I'm going to tap off the back side of my brush. I'm going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to look at that pearl, and once all of that powder has absorbed around the edge, that's where I'm going to press out and drain out that liquid. Okay, so again, pick up another pearl. Always tap your powder down so you've got a nice clean space to pick up on. And press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I'm going to look. All of that powder is absorbed. I'm going to drain out 1, 2, 3, 4. That's about the amount of time it's going to take for that pearl to look a little bit more like a smooth texture. And then that's when we're going to set that down onto our form. Okay, so just give it a quick count to 4. Now I will tell you one other thing, that as you're working, depending on your room temperature, the cooler your environment, the slower your product is going to set up. The faster or the warmer your environment, did I say that right? The faster your product is going to set up. So kind of keep that in mind. The average, or kind of the best working temperature, is around 70 to 75 degrees. I think my room is a little bit warmer in here. I had to turn my air conditioner off so that you guys didn't have that loud background noise. But my product may set up a little bit faster, but depending on your work environment, yours may set up a little slower. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working. Okay. All right, we're going to pick up our pearl, press, bounce, bounce. I'm going to wait a couple of seconds for it to absorb. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set that right on my form. I'm going to press that down. I'm going to wipe out my brush to clean my brush out. I'm going to use the fat belly part of my brush to press that product from side to side. Then I'm going to use the edge of my brush to tuck in, and then again the fat part of the brush to walk up into the corner. Press in, up into the corner. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that bulk out to the sides, press in, and then all the way back across, in on the sides, up into the corner, in on the sides, up into the corner. Then I'm going to press and pull that product down the length of my form, tucking in on those sides. Same thing, tucking in on the sides and pulling that product down the length of my form. Now, I'm going to show you something once this product is into place. I'm going to show you a couple of different things on our brush and which parts on my brush I'm using. But I do need to get my product into place before it sets. Otherwise, once it sets, I can't move it and I can't show you guys. So I think we're good here. Tucking that in on the sides a little bit. Now at this point, I'm not worried too much about my free edge shape. If I have enough time, I can go back and I can use the edge of my brush to kind of tuck that in and square that off a little bit. But that's really the last part that you want to worry about. If you're worried about getting that perfect shape when you're molding it, you may end up not getting the proper shape and everything on the sides. If you have more of a rounded shape at the end and you're sculpting more of a rounded shape, you can always go back through with your electric file and zip that off really quick, which is what I'm going to do. But a couple of things that I want to show you with the brush. So you guys, I want you to really understand this brush does have a little bit of a crimp in it. So that is going to show you that the brush, let me get that a better shape. The brush is going to come a little bit more to a wedge here. So when you're applying your product, you want to use more of that flat part of the brush to be pressing out that product from side to side. And then you're going to use more of the edge of the brush right through here to tuck in on those sides. You don't want to be using that fat part of the brush to push in on the sides. that's not going to give you a straight edge and that straight line here. If you use that rounded or kind of that fat part of the brush, it's going to curve in. So by using the edge of the brush, that's how you're going to be able to tuck in and get those really nice, straight, crisp sides. Okay? All right. So we've got our free edge on there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to build more of the structure to our nail now. At this point, we want our product to run and flow a little bit. When we were working on our free edge here, we wanted to drain out that extra liquid onto our table towel so that our product stayed in more of clay form. But when we're working at our cuticle area, we want that product a little bit more on the wetter side. So this time, instead of, actually we'll go ahead and do this. Instead of draining out that liquid on our towel like we did before, all we're going to do here is we're just going to wait a few seconds. So probably about 4 to 5 seconds, and then you're going to set that onto the nail. Now I want you guys to see something and see what it is that we're waiting for. So when we first pick up our pearl, I'm going to press, bounce, bounce, bounce. I want you guys to take a really close look. Do you see how that pearl looks textured? It looks almost like an orange peel. And then after a few seconds, it smooths out to more of a pearl look. That's what we're waiting for. We're waiting to see more of that pearl look rather than the orange peel. And what's happening in that maybe about 4 to 5 seconds is that the product is starting to polymerize. It's starting to set up a little bit, but we want to wait just a few seconds till it gets to that pearl look, not so long to where it looks more of a matte look. Okay, so again, about 4 to 5 seconds is what we're going to wait. And this is going to allow us to be able to control the product as we're setting that onto the nail. It's not going to run, it's not going to flow unless we want it to. So again, just a few seconds in there, and then we'll set that down. Okay, on this next one, all right, I do have a couple other things that I want to show you really, really quickly, and then I will set the pearl onto the nail and we will build up the rest of this. So as you're setting the pearl onto the nail, you want to make sure, I'm going to show you guys this from the side view, you want to make sure that you're angling that finger slightly downward so that you can set the pearl down here, okay? So let me show you this really quick from the side view. So this is the angle that we're setting that pearl at, okay? The reason that we have that finger angled downward is because I want my product to run and flow down the length of the nail. If I had that nail more flat and I were to set the pearl on here, that product is going to run down the sides. So that's why I'm going to make sure that my finger is angled downward. My brush is going to put pressure right at that cuticle area. And let me take that little piece off there. Okay. Something else I want you guys to notice is when you're setting that pearl down, you're going to press the pearl down here. You're going to press right around the cuticle area. So you're going to press, press, then you're going to pivot your brush on the edge. So let me turn this a little bit more. So again, we're going to go from here. We're going to press, press, pivot the brush on the side so that way you can tuck right into that cuticle area. Same thing, we're going to press, press, pivot the brush on the side. So this way we're going to get that really nice tight cuticle area. You're going to get your product nice and flush down to that, that cuticle, so you're not going to have any ridge or any lifting around that cuticle. I know you guys are saying in the chat there that I'm wasting pearls. You guys, I want to make sure that you all understand exactly how to pick up these pearls. So this way you're going to have success. And if I use a few extra pearls here to show you that, it's just going to help you guys in the long run. So just go with it here. Okay, so we're actually going to pick up a pearl. We're going to set this onto the nail. So I'm going to press, bounce, bounce. I'm going to wait 1, 2, 3 until that pearl looks kind of that pearl look. Set that down, angling the finger downward. I'm going to press, press, pivot my brush, press, press, pivot my brush. I'm going to allow that product to just flow a little bit down the length of the nail, and then I'm going to pivot on the side here, pull those edges forward, and then just blend out just the edge. Okay, you guys, I'm not pulling product from all the way at that cuticle area. I'm just blending out the edge of that pearl. Now again, when I come to that side, I pivot my brush so I can blend out that edge here, press and pull here, Again, pivot my brush on the side here and pull on the side. So that way you're going to get that nice clean sidewall, that nice clean sidewall here, and we're going to leave the bulk of our product right up in that stress area. Okay. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what's the rest of the nail going to look like? Because we got that big dip right down there. We're going to fill in that space. Okay, we're going to pick up one more pearl. Now this pearl, we're not going to do the same exact thing as we did on the free edge. We're not going to bring that to complete clay form, but we're not going to leave it in more of that wet form like we did up here at the cuticle area. For this one, I'm just going to do kind of a half dab. So we're going to pick up our pearl. I'm going to just set it down 1, 2 for just a couple of quick little seconds. What that's going to do, you see how it brings it more to that matte look? It still is pliable, but it's not going to run and flow as much as that cuticle area bead. Okay, let me show you one more time, and I'm going to set this one onto the nail now. So again, 1, 2, 1, 2. Turn my brush around. I'm going to set that down and brush back towards my cuticle, pivot my brush on the sides, again to taper and to contour that product up into that side. I'm going to turn my brush back around. Now I'm going to use more of the body of the brush, pressing that out and pulling that product all the way down to our free edge. Now, if you feel like you need to bring more product back into that stress area, I'm going to show you here in just a second. You can turn your brush around and pull that product back. So again, creating a little bit more of an arch. If you need a little bit more product, or if you need to even thin out that free edge, you can pull that product towards yourself. Okay, so whatever direction or wherever you need product, that's the direction that you're going to be pulling your brush. Okay. All right, you guys. So we've got our nail on here. Now, normally at this time, I would say we're going to wait and we're going to file this out. But you guys know that I love my little swap outs here. So I am going to swap out another nail that has already been filed out. If you guys do need more education on how to file the nails, we do have a ton of great videos here on our YouTube channel. So make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you check out those videos. And we're going to do our quick little swap out here so that you guys can see the finished design. And you don't have to wait for this one to set up. So we're going to pop that one out and put that back on. We're going to swap out our nail that is completely filed and ready to go. Let me throw away my paper towels here. All right, so at this point, you guys, that's basically the same nail that we just sculpted on. So let me come in a little closer. But this one I have filed out. So you can kind of see there's a little bit of scratches on there. All I did was filed with my electric file, and then I did finish file with a 150 grit file. Okay. Now at this point, I'm going to show you guys our fun ombre, kind of an ombre, what is it? An ombre aura look. So we've got that ombre, we've got that kind of aura look in there. So we're going to take our filed out nail. I'm going to dust that off. Just like we did earlier with our swipe, we're going to cleanse the nail and get all of that dust off of there, any oils, any contaminants, anything from underneath the nail as well. Make sure that nail is going to be nice and clean. And we're going to go back to our protein bond. So just like when we were doing our prep, we want to apply a coat of the protein bond to make sure that our product is going to adhere really well over the top. Okay, and we are going to be using a gel polish, and I'll show you guys that in just a second here. So again, one coat of our protein bond up to the cuticle all the way through the whole length of the nail. And we're ready to go. All right. Now, you guys, what I used on this nail down here, this is a really, really easy way or an easy technique of doing ombre nails. So if you're not quite ready to sculpt an ombre, if you don't have an airbrush, this is going to be a really easy way for you to create those ombre looks. Now, I'm going to be using our Slick Pour powders, and these are actually acrylic powders. They are from our dip collection, but they're acrylic powders. And I've got Canary Zing, which is our yellow, and I've got Head Over Heels, which is our bright pink. And we're also going to be using our Conversion base coat. This is a soft gel base coat. And did I miss a spot? I don't think I missed a spot. The whole nail has protein bond on it. I know somebody says there's a missing spot, but that's okay. It's not. All right, so we're going to start with a coat of our conversion base coat. And this, like I was saying, is just a soft gel base coat. And this is what we use when we're doing using our slick pour as an overlay. You can actually take that slick pour powder, you can sprinkle it into that uncured gel. But for today, we're going to be doing that ombre. So I'm actually going to cure this first layer. So that's going to go into my light. We're going to just freeze this into place for about 30 seconds. And then we're going to adhere our powders right into the tacky surface of our gel. So we've got our two colors. We've got our bright pink and our bright yellow. I'm going to grab a just an eyeshadow brush. So nothing really fancy here, you guys. Just a little eyeshadow brush. Please don't use the ones that you actually use for your eyeshadow. Have a clean, separate one that you use for the nails. And we're going to take that nail. So again, we just cured that base layer. It does have a tacky surface. So we're going to take our powder, and I'm going to take a little bit of that on my brush and just tap that right down into that tacky surface. Now it's going to grab on, and I'm almost creating a French look. I'm not quite, but almost. So a little bit more right down at the free edge, a little bit higher up on the sides. I'm going to wipe out my brush, clean out some of that powder. Then I'm going to grab a little bit of that yellow, and we're going to put that right in the center. Just tapping that right in, blending that in. Clean out my brush again, and then just kind of bringing a little bit of that extra residue, that little bit of pink residue that's on my brush, right up around. So this is how we get more of that aura look. So we're getting a little bit more of that pink up and around. Maybe we'll just take a little bit more pink on our brush, up and around. So now we've got a little bit more of that aura. Now, at this point, I'm going to grab this is our stamping tool. I like to use this to really just press that powder into that tacky surface. So all I did, I just kind of rolled that right across there, and that's going to press all of that powder down into that tacky surface, so that way I don't have anything poking up or anything like that. Okay, so at this point, I want to freeze this into place. Because we're working over that tacky surface, it does still have a little bit of curability to it. So what I'm going to use, let me show you here. I'm going to use our Touch Cure Light, and I'm just going to use that to freeze this into place. Now, our gel underneath is fairly well cured, but having that little bit of tacky surface on there is going to really just grip onto these powders, okay? So just for a few seconds, maybe 10, 20 seconds or so, just to kind of set that into place. And then let's go ahead and do a second coat. Now, if you want your nail just nice and light like that, a little bit more pastel, you could leave it with one coat, but we're going to do a second coat so that we can brighten this up just a little bit more. So again, we're going to polish on another coat of that conversion base coat. And then this one I am going to put back into that light, into the full UV LED light. So that one is going to cure a little bit more in the light. We'll go ahead and repeat the process. We're going to take our pink again and then our yellow again. We will repeat that application. And the fun part about this technique is that you really just can use any of those slick pour powders. You're going to have great colors on the nails. You can customize and you can blend all those colors together. So whichever colors you want to customize together and ombre together, you can definitely use those. Okay. All right, so we've got our second coat cured again for 30 seconds. Take a little bit more of that pink, using that brush, tapping that right into that tacky surface, coming up and around those edges. And then we'll take a little bit more of that yellow, cleaning out my brush in between, a little bit more of that yellow in there. And I'm going to just dust that off a little bit, and maybe just a tiny little bit more of that pink up and around. And this is just kind of blending that out, getting that little aura right on the free edge. I'm going to clean my brush out one more time here, get a little bit more of that powder out of there, and just tapping right around that edge to just get that to blend out. All right, we're going to take that stamping tool one more time, roll that over there just to press those down. And then again, we're going to use our Touch Cure Light to freeze that into place, just maybe for another 10 to 20 seconds or so. Okay. Somebody's asking, can the slick pour be used just like the acrylic? Absolutely, you guys. This product, the slick pour powders, these are acrylic powders, so those can be used. Let me just show you here really quick. In case you're looking for that kind of information, you can pick these up with your monomer. So just like we were using before, you can pick up your powders and you can use these just as you would your other acrylics. So you can build out the nails, you can create different artwork with them, absolutely. But today we're using them just as kind of a powder coating, just to give us this really fun ombre. Now, guys, we're not done with this nail yet. Don't go anywhere. We're going to do one more coat of our conversion base coat to seal this. And we're actually going to do a coat of top coat over this, but we're not going to do our top coat chant just yet. We're going to do a little bit of an added design, a little bit of 3D over the top of this. So I'm going to put that first coat in to the light. We're going to freeze that into place for 30 seconds. And then I'm actually going to top coat this, but we're not going to be done. I'm going to top coat this with my Ultimate Finish top coat. And this is going to seal in. So I put one coat of our conversion base. That's to basically cap the powder to make sure that we're not gonna feel any texture. And then we're gonna put our Ultimate Finish top coat on there to really seal the nail and give us a nice smooth finish. And that way we're gonna be able to work and do our 3D design over the top of it. So again, Ultimate Finish is a tack-free top coat. And the reason that I like to use this one for my 3D is because any of our other top coats that do have a tacky surface, I feel like the product when I do my 3D does tend to move and run a little bit. So that's why I'm choosing to work with our Ultimate Finish today. So again, this is going to go into the light for maybe another 30-second freeze. And while I'm freezing that, I'm going to show you guys here, our gloss gel is what I'm going to be using to do our 3D design. Now you could use, let me show you another option here. You could use the clear Sculptor, but if you're doing 3D with the clear Sculptor is a little thicker, so it's going to stay a little bit more where you put it, but it also does need a top coat to give you a really nice high shine. So that's why I'm choosing to use our gloss gel today. It's not quite as thick as the clear Sculptor, but it does have basically a built-in top coat to it, so you don't have to worry about putting another top coat over it. Now I am going to grab my Touch Cure Light. I want to have that ready to go. I want to have everything kind of ready and waiting here. So what we're going to do is just create some really fun little swirls on our nail. So that's coming nice and close for you guys. Now I'm going to show you this on camera, but then I am going to move my gel out of the way of my Touch Cure Light because I don't want to be curing my gel in the pot. But to pick up, I'm going to be using our liner brush. And a lot of times you guys see me use the micro detailer, but this is a little bit of a longer brush than our micro detailer. This is just our liner or our striper brush. Okay, I'm going to go straight into my gloss gel, down and then pick up, let that little string kind of release, and then you're going to see just a little pearl basically around that whole brush. Okay, that's what we want because we're going to take that little pearl. Actually, I think I had maybe a little too much. I'm going to tap off a little bit of extra back into our jar. I'm going to just set that pearl down, and then we're going to pull that towards the center and then right down. I'm going to turn on my Touch Cure Light and I'm going to just freeze this into place. I like to freeze each of these into place as I work because this way they're not going to run, they're not going to move on me. So just really a few seconds. And what I'm doing while that's freezing is I'm going back into my jar, picking up my next pearl, and then adding that next pearl on. And that's really the amount of time that it's going to take you to freeze that into place. So freeze into place, picking up my next pearl, dabbing off any extra, turn that off, set down my next pearl and drag. Tap to turn on the light to freeze it into place. And you guys, this is just a really quick and easy design you can do. It's super fun, super easy. Just tapping down that little bit of gel is going to create our 3D look. So again, tap that down, drag down in towards the center, turn on my light to freeze that into place. And I know you guys, you can't see what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. I'll put that there. Just picking up a little bit more of that gel, turn my light off, set that down, drag down in towards the center, turn my light on. And I'm freezing each of these lines as I go. So this way, like I said, it's not going to run, it's not going to move, and I'm going to get that really good 3D look. And then one last one down here, drop and drag, turn on our light. And this time I'm going to just set that into place for a few seconds, but I do want to fully cure these in the light. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to put those back into our full UV LED light for a full 60-second cure. Now, when this does come out of the light, the gloss gel does have a tacky finish to it. So I want to make sure that I'm removing that tacky finish. And you guys, I know we didn't do our top coat chant because at this point, this is our top coat. We don't have to do another top coat on our nails here. So if you want to, you can go ahead and start the top coat chant in the chat and we'll just call it good with that. But the gloss gel does have basically a built-in top coat, so you don't need an extra top coat on that nail, okay? But we do need to cleanse that tacky surface. And normally when I cleanse my gloss gel, whoops, sorry guys. Normally when I cleanse my gloss gel, I do use the swipe, but because we've got that ultimate finish top coat underneath there, I don't want to use the swipe on there because it can start to maybe dull the surface of the ultimate finish. So I'm just going to grab my ManiQ Cleanser and we're going to use that to cleanse off that tacky surface. Somebody's asking, can you apply chrome to the gloss once it's cured? You can. It's not going to give you the same chrome look as using the ultimate finish. Chrome really adheres well to ultimate finish. So if you're wanting chrome, I would do ultimate finish over the top of these little lines, and that's going to give you more of that chrome look. But yes, you can definitely do that. Okay, so just cleansing off that nail. And now we've got our fun 3D design to go along with the rest of our nails. Now you guys, in case you were wondering what I have on the rest of these nails, that last one here we did just like we did on camera here. The color that I've got on this one is our Hot Pink 101 with our matte non-tack top coat. And then on this one we have a sugared nail using our I Spill It. And you guys, if you need any information on how to do that sugared technique, or if you need other information on really any other techniques, make sure to check out the rest of our YouTube channel here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, join our community, and check out all of the great educational videos that we have for you. So hopefully you guys had a fun time today learning how to do our ombre and 3D gel design. And make sure to join us back next time. Hit that subscribe button so you always know when we are going live, and we'll see you guys back next time. Thanks, everybody.